As you grow older, the teammates you've been playing with for countless years become your family. The bonds you form while running for countless hours in practice, celebrating a big win after a baseball game, or playing in a snowstorm, the bonds you form are irreplaceable. And as a child, you dream of being able to play at a whole new level, at a collegiate level. Luckily, a select few athletes get to put on their jersey for an additional 4 years. I believe that is enough compensation for the hours of work that each athlete puts in every week. Aside from the full-ride scholarship the athletes receive, many people believe that they deserve to be paid an additional wage. I believe that playing a college sport is a privilege and not a job. College athletes should not be paid. First, the college athletes receive free tuition, room and board, and a meal plan. Second of all, college athletics should not be centered around money. And third, the distribution of money between schools, sports, and athletics would be nearly impossible to manage. First, college athletes who receive a full-ride scholarship get free tuition, room and board, textbooks, and a meal plan. All these expenses together is a total of $30,000 for an out-of-state public university. For these athletes, the burden of student loans nearly disappears. Many people believe that they deserve to be paid an additional wage because they spend the majority of their time doing school and sports and do not have time to have a part-time job like most normal college students. The college students that do have a job usually spend their money on tuition, groceries, and paying their rent, which all of these are covered by the scholarship that the athletes receive. The athletes who are on scholarship also usually have a nutritionist who are able to have a plan to have a well and balanced diet that many of the normal students do not receive. Also, the athletes have, at many Division I schools, have personal chefs and personal cafeterias for their sports. Unlike the average college student who eats cereal, frozen meals, and ramen noodles, they actually receive a balanced diet with fruits, vegetables, protein, and their carbs. Although they do not receive a check based on an hourly wage like many people want them to, the athletes are paid with a quality education and an experience of a lifetime. If college athletes are paid, the love of the game will be lost. The athletes will focus on the income instead of the joy that they've been experiencing for their entire lives. College athletics is about pride, sacrifice, and tradition. For example, at the University of Nebraska, Husker football is nearly a religion. 90,000 fans pack the stadium, and the energy alone should make the players want to play at their school. Most athletes have been playing their respective sport for their entire lives. Going to college should not change that into a job. While traveling, forming bonds with teammates, and experiencing a thrill of a lifetime, the players learn values that go far beyond a classroom. Lastly, if the colleges were to pay their athletes a separation of the money between the sports, like, for example, men's soccer and women's bowling, or the athletes of different abilities and genders, would be nearly impossible to manage. Determining how much money that a starting quarterback should be paid or a walk-on kicker should be paid would have a lot of discrepancies. Along with this, taking money that was made from the football or basketball team and giving it to sports such as women's gymnastics or men's lacrosse would probably be a problem. In the NCAA, men's basketball and football are the only two sports that actually make a profit. Every sport is actually losing money after all the expenses such as coaching, traveling fees, and the scholarships that they grant their athletes. Also, smaller schools would have a very hard time recruiting and competing with the big schools. For example, big schools like Nebraska, USC, or University of Texas would conquer the recruiting because they would have more money to pay their recruits. And the smaller schools such as SDSU or USD would probably not have as much money to pay their athletes and would lose out on a lot of very good baseball players or gymnastics. The athletes would not want to go play at these smaller schools because they would not receive as much money. Recruiting would basically disappear and would become a competition of who does have the most money. If athletes were to be paid, very schools would have enough money left in their fund. According to 2013 USA data analysis, only 23 out of 228 athletic departments are making a profit. at Division I schools. Paying athletes would put almost every college into debt, and the athletic programs would be no longer. Finally, I believe that the athletes are receiving a free quality education and an experience that a very select few amount of Americans get to experience.